Hi guys, today we're going to continue off where we left off in your notes this week. So find your notebook and start at number 9 here and write down this problem. So for this problem right here, what you're going to need to do is, first we look, do we have to distribute? That's always what we have to look for first. And we see that we have two terms in the numerators here. So right here, you got to kind of imagine this. This negative sign is going to all of this. If we're subtracting all of that, what you're going to need to do here is you're going to have to distribute that negative sign. So the first thing you need to do here is you need to distribute a -1 just like we did in class. That's the trickiest part. If you have two terms and you're subtracting it, make sure you distribute a -1. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite the problem. In that second part there, you're going to distribute that negative to the x. So now it's going to be minus x, and then it's also going to be -1. And that's still over 4, and that equals 2x minus 3 over 4. Okay, so moving on from there, now since we distributed that -1, what you're going to need to do is you're now going to need to clear out the fractions. So if we look at our denominators here, we have a 2, a 4, and a 4. So we're trying to figure out what's the least common denominator here. What's the smallest number that goes into 4, or what's the smallest number, that they all go into. So if we look at that, the smallest number that they all go into is 4, because 2 goes into 4, and 4 obviously goes into 4. So we're going to multiply everything by 4 and make sure we distribute it to all 3 parts. Okay, so this is the next part where you need to be very careful. So this 4, we're multiplying it, but then we're dividing it by 2. So what you can actually do is just take 4 and divide it by 2 there. So if you do 4 divided by 2 there, you get 2. So we're going to have 2, and then we still have our x minus 4. Notice I'm putting it in parentheses, because eventually I'm going to have to distribute. And how I got that 2 was I did 4 divided by 2. The next part you do is you have your 4, and you divide it by 4. Well, 4 divided by 4 just cancels and makes 1, so it's like that one's gone, and we just still have our minus x minus 1. And then same thing with the last one, 4 divided by 4 just makes 1, so we're just left with 2x minus 3. Feel free at any point in this video to pause it if you need more time. Okay, so now moving on here, we have a number outside this parenthesis, so we're going to distribute. So 2 times x, which is 2x, and 2 times -4 is -8, and then bring everything else down. The next part here, we're going to combine like terms, so 2x minus x would be 1x, and then we're going to combine -8 and -1, which is -9. And now moving on, we're getting close here. We're going to move all our variables to the left side here, or the right side. It doesn't matter. It's preference to you. But I recommend getting in the habit of moving them to the left before we do inequalities. So if I subtract 2x to the other side, I have 1x minus 2x, which is -1x, minus 9 equals -3. I'm going to add 9 now, and I'm almost done. So I have -1x equals 6, divide by -1, and I get x is equal to -6. Okay, so that is it for that problem. Our next problem here, number 10, is very similar. It's 3x plus 1 over 2 plus 3x minus 4 over 3 equals 3x plus 1 over 4. So here there is no subtraction sign between the parentheses, so I don't have anything to distribute. It's just addition. So we have no distributive property to do. So what we can do first is now we can clear out fractions. So I'm going to move this number 10 just over a little bit. And now I'm going to try and figure out what's the smallest number that 2, 3, and 4 all go into. So I'm going to look at the largest number first and think about 4. And think of multiples of 4. Well, 2 and 3 don't go into 4. 4 times 2 would be 8. These don't go into 8. 4 times 3 would be 12. And that actually works because 2 goes into 12 6 times. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So that's what we're going to multiply by, is 12. So now we're going to distribute here 12 to each part. So when I do that, I'm doing the same thing as the last problem here. I'm taking this 12 and I'm dividing it by 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. And I leave that outside the parentheses and put 3x plus 1 inside. Then I take 12 and I divide it by 3, which is 4. And I keep that outside the parentheses. And I'm adding those always unless the number is 1 when I divide them. And then 12 divided by 4, which would be 3, and put it outside the parentheses of 3x plus 1. So now I have a lot of distributive property to do here. 6 times 3x and plus 1, so 6 times 3x is 18x. 6 times 1 is 6. 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. 3 times 3x is 9x. And 3 times 1 is 3. Now it's a matter of combining like terms on the same side of the equation. Well, on the left, we have a couple x's, and we also have a couple constants. If we combine those, 18x and 12x makes 30x. And 6 minus 16 is negative 10. And now we have a problem similar to a lot of the ones we've done in class. Subtract 9x to both sides to move all the x's to one side. And then we're going to add our 10 over. And final step, divide by 21 to both sides. And 13 over 21 does not reduce, so therefore that is our answer. Okay, and then moving on to our last problem here, number 11. And this problem right here is a little bit longer. So the problem is 6 minus, and then we have a bracket, 2 times, and then we have another bracket, 5 minus the quantity of 3 plus x in parentheses, close your bracket, minus parentheses 2x plus 4. And these kind of like squiggly brackets are called braces or set brackets. They're just used when you have 3 types of brackets in the problem. And that's equal to 4 and then a regular bracket, 7 minus parentheses x plus 6, close your parentheses, close your bracket, and add a plus 2 at the end. So you're going to want to write kind of small for this one because it's pretty long. Okay, so pause this video if you need extra time to write it down. But we're going to start getting work done on this problem here. Okay, so first thing we do, and we talked about this in class too, is you look at these parentheses first. We want to distribute there if we have to. And all 3 of them we actually do. Because there's a negative sign out front, which means there's a negative 1 invisible there. So you're going to have to distribute that negative 1 in each spot. And then keep everything else the same. So if I rewrite the problem here, I have 6 minus, and I have my braces there or set brackets. And I keep my 2, keep my bracket, keep my 5. Now I distribute. -1 times 3 is -3. -1 times x is -x. Notice now the parentheses are gone. And now to get rid of the next parentheses, I do -1 times 2x, which is -2x. -1 times 4 is -4. And I keep my squiggly brackets there. And then I have my 4 brackets, 7, and now I'm distributing -1. -1 times x is -x. -1 times 6 is -6. Keep my bracket, keep my +2. Notice all the parentheses are now gone because I distributed to get rid of them. Next step, always combine like terms if you can inside these brackets. So I have 5 minus 3 here, and I have a 7 minus 6 here. So I'm going to combine those together. So when I do that, I have 5 minus 3 is 2, keeping everything else the same. And 7 minus 6 is 1. And now I'm working the problem down here. So now these brackets right here are now acting as parentheses. So now I'm going to do exactly what I did just like with the parentheses above. I'm going to distribute here. I'm just working my way inside to outside. So 6 minus, and now I'm doing distributive property again. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times -x is -2x. I no longer have that bracket because I distributed to get rid of it, and I keep everything else the same. Same thing on the right side, distribute. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times -x is -4x. Keep my +2. And now same as before, combine your like terms on the same side. So I have 4 minus 4 here. I have -2x minus 2x. And then on the other side, I have 4 and 2. So when I combine those together, I'm going to combine 4 minus 4. Well, 4 minus 4 cancels. It's just 0, so I don't need to write that. -2x minus 2x is -4x. And then 4 and 2 on the other side make 6 minus 4x. Okay, and I'm getting very close here. So now these brackets are acting as if they were parentheses. And I see I have a negative sign out front of them. So what I have to do is I have to multiply it by -1. So make sure you multiply here. So I keep my 6, and then I do -1 times -4x, which is positive 4x. And now I'm getting very close to the end. I'm going to move my 4x to the other side by adding it. And now I'm going to subtract my 6 from both sides. So I have 8x equals 6 minus 6, which is 0. If I divide both sides by 8, 0 divided by 8 is 0. So therefore, my answer for this long problem was 0. Okay, hopefully this video will help you complete that 7-question 2.3 worksheet assignment. If anybody has any questions, please leave a comment on the Google Classroom post or send me an email.